Greetings. If you're seeing this, I hope all your high school bullies are in jail or MLMs and that your direct deposit drops early this Friday. Now that we've finished the formalities, I've been thinking a lot about why it's difficult for us to leave situations, relationships, jobs that aren't good for us, and why we as a culture are so obsessed with the sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy obviously being, I've invested this much time, energy, labor, pain, I have to stick it through, why would I leave now, etc., etc. As a culture, I think we really struggle with the concept of grief and loss. And I think we've inadvertently normalized tearing ourselves apart, cutting ourselves into pieces, spreading ourselves really thin in order to quote unquote have it all. I see this largely reflected in hustle culture, in burnout culture, in relationships, in the newest trends around femininity or masculinity that expect us to abandon fundamental parts of ourselves, our identities, and our needs in order to keep, maintain, or obtain relationships. We often pedestal these people that are able to sort of muscle through under all conditions, under all odds, to get to what they need without eating, without sleeping, without taking care of their bodies, losing friendships, losing people close to them. And I think the issue with this, right, is that it doesn't actually teach us the opportunity cost, the cost in general of being where we're supposed to be and having what we want. Let me tell you what I mean. To give a very simple metaphor, in order to be or have one thing, it means oftentimes you cannot be and have another. Right now I am sitting on the floor of my bedroom, which means I cannot be in the kitchen. So when we talk about fulfillment, about happiness, about healing, there are some things that we are not able to have alongside our healing. We cannot stay in abusive, unhealthy dynamics and take care of ourselves effectively. We cannot access the level of career or education or academia if we are in environments that do not allow us to think or function the way that we need to. And so with that comes loss, right? There's things that we cannot have, and then therefore there are things that we need to grieve, right? I think culturally when we talk about grief, we're largely talking about like when we have great loss in our life, a family member, a loved one. I think something we struggle with is this more intangible concept of grief, what it means to lose an idea or the potential of something, and to have to let that go, to have to cut the cord on that vision, on that fantasy, on that hope in order to have something new. When I was younger, I would often fall in love with the potential of people. I would see what the relationship could be. I could see what the person could be if they would only, etc., etc. And so I would sink all of this energy into these relationships. I would sink all of my time, my focus. I would be rehearsing conversations in the shower. I would be creating metaphors to help the other person understand concepts like empathy, apology, care, etc. I was constantly perseverating on what I would do if I were in their position or in their shoes, how I would do things differently, say things differently in conflict. And what would happen is this would rob my life force from me. This would steal my joy, my ability to do my job, my time with friends, my personal time, my creativity, my energy, everything. This is also something I would subject myself to with jobs. If I can just stick around in this role long enough to get to where I need to be, or if I can just stick around and prove myself, then I'll be treated the way that I want to be treated. Then I'll be promoted in the way that I want to, and then I'll be able to get to where I need to be. I didn't realize both in relationships and in my professional life that my staying there and over-investing my energy was actually inhibiting, completely blocking my ability to do the actual things I needed to do to get the things that I said that I wanted. And this is where it comes back to the concept of grief. I don't think we're taught how to lose things unless things are quite literally taken from us and we don't have a choice. There's not a lot of great modeling, a lot of great context for what it is to intentionally let something go, experience the loss of it, grieve it, and move in a different direction. I think it's also for this that we stay in places until they are so toxic and so septic that they end up sort of breaking themselves. Either the person leaves us or it gets to such an extreme that there's not another choice but to leave. And when I hear people talking about this, there's this sort of empowerment that never really resonated for me, of like, walk away from things that don't suit you. If he wanted to, he would. But when you're actually in these situations, at least in my experience, it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel empowering to let go of something you've already invested time, energy, and more importantly, hope into. It feels scary, it feels sad, and it feels like that dream or that optimal outcome could just be right around the corner, right around the bend, right beyond the horizon line if you continue to labor a little bit more. I think also there's this fear, like, if I stuck it out, what happens if I was just about to get there? They were just about to change. They were just about to promote me, and I cut the cord too quickly. The fact of the matter is, in order to prioritize some things, we have to deprioritize others or let them go altogether. And if we try to prioritize everything, then we don't have priorities. I think there's a beautiful, more human way to think about this. And it really comes down to values and what we care about. Because if you think about what you have to lose, truly, even if it's toxic, even if it's bad for you, the risk you have to take and the pain you have to experience to let something go, then that allows what occupies that space next to have value, to mean something to you. When we walk through life with a simple attitude of, okay, well, snip, snip, okay, anything for my future, I think we lose the value of what we have to grieve, what we have to have left behind in order to prioritize, to care for what we want to call towards ourselves, in order to honor actually what we're trying to do for ourselves and for our future and for our life. It's fucking hard. Like, it's not easy to say no to your patterns of behavior that you've had since you were a kid around relationships and communication. It's not easy to say goodbye to your own comfort in favor of an unknown variable that'll bring you closer to the things that you want for yourself. That is hard, it's scary, and it comes with a deep sense of embodied loss. I often think of it as the cover charge, whether it's the cover charge to my dreams, the cover charge to my healing. To get through that door, I have to pay something, right? It's not for free. And if I make that payment and I don't honor really, truly what that expense is to me, what it means to me, whether I'm paying in blood, whether I'm paying in nostalgia, whether I'm paying in relationship or curse breaking, whatever the case may be, if I don't take time to feel into that loss, to recognize that door closing, to recognize that world collapsing, to recognize that I'm essentially making it impossible to go back somewhere so that I can move forward, I bring a kind of unhealed, unwhole, unprocessed version of myself into whatever comes next. And in doing so, I can't arrive to that moment as prepared to receive the opportunity as I would otherwise. I think there's also a sense of self-honoring that's a part of this. If you're grieving the vision of a relationship, the potential of it, you're also grieving the person that believed in that at one point, right? You're grieving the person who entered that relationship, who encountered that person and could see that future. And that version of yourself deserves to be honored, deserves to be seen, as well as you transition into the next chapter. I think as a culture, we're so obsessed with what we can earn through our suffering that we don't understand what we can earn through our presentness, through showing up for ourselves in the experience of our life, in sadness, in grief, in understanding, and in compassion towards our experiences. Even myself, I think if I can suffer a little bit more, if I can push myself a little bit more, if I can absorb a little more pain, maybe what I'm looking for is waiting on the other side. And yet somehow what ends up neglected is the pain of what I know needs to happen every day that I'm doing that. Every day that I've ever put myself in that position of like, come on, Jamila, push through. I've been like, but I know what to do deep down. And the pain of that self-betrayal, the pain of ignoring and abandoning myself is the one that always comes to collect in the end. Because I feel like the most brutal pain of it all is when you arrive to different stages and moments and even opportunities in your life and you're scared to be there because you don't trust yourself, because you didn't care for yourself and you didn't honor yourself. And the time lost when you refuse to grieve, so you refuse to move forward.